All right. What is up, everybody? We are back again with another episode of the Keeper Chronicles. This time we are on, this is our third episode, but this is week 2. Week 2. I'm very excited. Let's get into it. I've got, of course, with me here, the man who needs no introduction but gets one every week, because he's still a feature on the podcast, according to the graphic right here, featuring Jacob Ambrose. It's my brother, your champion, reigning, and the stats guy, Jacob Ambrose. Glad to have you here.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, it's nobody's exactly surprised that you're here, are they? Okay, let's get right into it. What a crazy week.
Let's talk NFL just as a whole right now. Week 1 was weird. Week 2, I felt like we got a little more normalized. Would you agree?
For sure. I mean, there was a little bit more passing going on. Players performed more like you would maybe expect them to, minus Travis Kelce. But that aside,
he must not have watched the podcast last week.
Yeah.
I do got to bring this interesting stat to the table. Sam sent it to me this morning. From 2019 to 2022, the first 2 weeks had between 105 and 110 passing touchdowns. 2023, there was a dip, 86 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks.
This is through 2 weeks, okay.
Through 2 weeks only, yep. 2024, so this year, there have only been 69 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks.
That's down almost 50%.
Almost 50%. So that just adds to the weirdness of what has been fantasy football, that we are down 50% passing touchdowns from 2 years ago, essentially.
Which is weird because, I mean, when the wide receivers this year are booming, they're booming. But when they're not, they're really busting.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up, the other anomaly that I've noticed these 2 weeks of fantasy especially, but it's also, I mean, fantasy reflects what's going on in the league in general. Lots of field goals.
Yeah, there was Sunday night or Monday night, I want to say someone talked roughly about this, about all of these young kickers are able to hit them from 50 plus. And so coaches are they're
trusting them more.
They're they trust these kickers more when they get down to that range where sometimes you go for it on fourth down, but I can actually just hit that 50-yard field goal.
So I looked into this actually. This was a record-setting week in NFL history. 73 field goals were made this week in games.
Wow.
I'm not sure if that's counting extra points, but I believe it's got to be. It's got to be.
I don't know.
Well, maybe it is. 70. Either way, the stat was 73 field goals made. The previous record was 69 field goals in a week, set in week 15 of the 2016 season.
Interesting.
Now, what makes that interesting, in week 1 of this year, we also had 67. So it's been very high and that's the third most ever now because of this record-setting week. The Commanders obviously beat the Giants with only field goals, which is hilarious. The Giants are so bad. They're getting beat by only a kicker. So that you've got wide receivers who aren't maybe producing as much, with quarterbacks who aren't maybe producing as much, coupled with overproductive kickers. It's been weird.
It's just a weird start to fantasy, for sure.
But in the words of Jacob, my stat guy, things always regress to the median. So they always somehow level out. Ain't that right?
Yeah. I mean, in theory, yes. You may have a whole season where it's crazy, but in theory, it'll all come back to what is deemed normal. You want to dive into our week 2 recap?
Let's dive into it right away.
Fantasy-wise.
Yeah, fantasy.
Do you have a game you want to start with, Luke?
Why don't we start with Romness versus Rebrand?
Well, that was a game between these two. Am I right? So, Sam holds a special place of almost being outscored by his bench. His bench scored 64.3 points, and all of his starters that he deemed was his best starting lineup scored 64.4 points. Not
to mention his waivers, which we'll get into.
We'll
Well, I'll save that.
Yeah,
I'll
you
save
gotta
my
save
comment
that.
about that.
I also noticed that if you just look at the week 2 scoreboard on ESPN, it gives like top 3 performers for each team. Sam had one guy score more than 10 points.
Oh, who was that?
Etienne.
Oh, okay.
And his top scoring Etienne would not have been in the top 3 for any other team. His team just performed so
That's
historically bad.
Ridiculous.
This week. I don't know if we can say that the rebrand and David are back, but we can say that they got a win.
I can also say that I hate the name, and I don't know that Thanos is the best logo for this. The rebrand, revenge, like I'm not quite sure what that. I don't know. I think he could have been a little bit more creative with it. Got to make note because it's just so funny. DeMar Hamlin once again screwed over Sam. Now, not that Sam would have won if DeMar Hamlin wouldn't have hit Tua.
Probably not.
But DeMar Hamlin put a big hit on Tua. Tua goes out of the game, caps Tyreek's potential. So DeMar Hamlin once again giving Sam the middle finger. And
while playing against David, no less.
I'm not saying that Sam wishes death upon anybody, but I'm betting that he wishes maybe DeMar would have stayed on that table.
Gosh.
Or maybe just like not come back to the league.
I mean,
well, in a less.
Yeah, he still won the game of life.
He won the game. You won, my boy. Let's talk about Wiz versus Trust the Process.
Yeah, Mark, sorry about that one. Kamara dropping 44 points on you, but
there was a lot of talk about Kamara being washed up, 31 years old, as a running back for the New Orleans Saints. Like
he put on a show, and it's like back-to-back weeks where he's kind of gone off.
Who did you offered him to somebody?
I offered him to David
or Ross.
Who has JT?
David.
I offered him to David. I believe it was him and Scary Terry for JT and Deontay Johnson, who David dropped.
Well, that is absolutely how is Scary Terry doing? I haven't seen his stats.
Not good.
Not good. Okay.
But
well, Deontay's on. So either way.
But he's the number 1 wide receiver in Washington. He's bound to regress to the median.
Oh,
right?
of course.
Yes. Probably need to talk a little bit about Mark's choices about A-Chain.
Yeah. I don't know what he was thinking. A-Chain proved himself in week 1.
Yep.
He's actually good.
Yeah.
And then Mark, who has been burned by Najee Harris for a whole season, he had Najee Harris starting in his lineup, and Najee never produced. I don't know. I think it was 2 years ago. He started Najee every week, and Najee never produced.
The experts love him. He just never shows up. He's the Kyle Pitts of running backs.
Have you seen? I mean, just watching him play is like, it's like frustrating as a couch sitting on the couch. Like like, he literally will run into the line and do like. He'll just fall over. Like he'll run into his own line. It's like
he's the concussion guy, but he's afraid of concussions.
But like it's like if Le'Veon Bell, when he would do his little hit the line and wait.
Yeah.
It's like if he like didn't do anything after he hit the line and waited.
Okay.
And he would that's what Najee Harris looks like to me.
Yeah.
So somehow Mark made just the worst decision I think this week.
To be fair, I don't think it would have dramatically affected the outcome, but it would have looked closer. So let's move on to All Boom, the king of the league right now, Ross versus poor Frame Train.
Yeah, we're gonna call this episode. You see the title right there, Poor Benton, because really, man, you've been
most points against.
Yeah,
in theory, he actually should have 2 wins right now. Like with the points he's scoring, he's putting up, and like. Also, all the injuries he's dealing with now, too.
Yeah, yep.
Poor Benton.
He's really, he's PB for sure. Yeah. He is PB. Yeah, he's got lots of injuries on his bench right now, or in his starting lineup, honestly, still. He hasn't changed it yet. But yeah, I mean, Ross's team is looking really good.
Really good. I mean, his kicker... Again, it's a kicker league right now. Is averaging 19 points a week. It's hard to, that's quarterback points.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was happy when Butker got me 10 points this week.
Yeah,
And
that's a lot.
then I was going against Fairbairn, by the way, who dropped 20 on me. So, yeah, I'm getting burned by those kickers every week right now. So I have a prediction. Now, I have a history with predictions and Ross's team because I did make that one prediction. I think it was 2 years ago in the 2022 season.
About Contenda versus Pretenda?
And Ross, his team was absolutely a Pretenda that year. He started, I think he started 4-1 or something like that when I made a prediction that he was just going to absolutely have a terrible team because his team had no depth and he was just getting lucky. And I ended up being right. Now, his team this year is very different.
I would not say his team is getting lucky.
His team looks like a beast. However, I'm going to make a bold prediction right now.
All right.
I predict that the wheels are going to fall off his team around week 5. I think he's going to lose his first game in week 5 or 6.
Who's he going up against?
I don't know. That's just the feeling I get, okay? Because I just feel like this can't be going. Who's he going up against?
He is going up against Rebrand.
Okay,
week 5.
Who's in week 6? Because Rebrand isn't promising.
He's going up against Trust and Repeat week 6.
Yep. All right. Trust and Repeat is going to beat Ross in week 6. Mark my words, which will mean that Ross will not be in contention at that point for the longest win streak in our league history. I want to remind you what those are. David, Boompa, and Jacob hold the longest win streaks respectively. David, number 1, he in our first season ever, 2021 season, had a win streak of 8 games.
Yes.
What's crazy about that, in the same season, Boompa had the second longest win streak. It's the same season, 7 wins in a row.
Okay.
And then you last year went on a run, and who stopped you?
Yeah, that happened.
I stopped you while we were watching Christian McCaffrey get stuffed by the Vikings on a Monday night.
I'll take a Vikings win over a fantasy
Absolutely.
win every time.
So Ross is probably looking, I mean, you're probably looking at trying to make a run at that longest win streak if you can keep it up too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can blow past Ross in week 6, like I'm predicting.
Well, then I'll face you in week 7, I believe. So.
And then you'll lose again. 6. All right, the last game we have to cover from this last week, the Contendas versus the Phoenix. This one is sad. This one's personal.
Kelsey, there was a lot of talk about how good of a trade that was. I know that the Twins maybe
there was
said
some
that
copium on the Twins. They were saying that Kelsey was washed and that he wasn't going to be good, and I was definitely not thinking that was the case.
How did Lewis wake up the next morning knowing that you lost? Did he even call you dad anymore, or did he not even recognize you?
Yeah, I didn't have the heart to tell him that Bijan did not beat Boompa. And honestly, so I think when it was halftime or whatever, right after that, or maybe it was the quarter ended or something like that, and I closed my computer, he goes, "Did Bijan beat Boompa?" And I said, "No, he didn't." And that was just because Bijan hadn't scored a touchdown yet. But little did I know that Bijan would not end up beating Boompa.
Poor Lewis.
And it was, I felt like it was so sure for me too. And then just guy after guy kept not producing. I mean, like not overly producing, not living up to expectations.
I mean, yeah.
Kelsey was a big hit.
Kelsey was rough.
Yeah, Kelsey was really rough. And then, of course, I feel like, the victim here, Fairbairn getting the 20.
I mean, you still scored almost twice as many points as Sam.
That's true.
So
still twice as good as Sam. This is my official announcement. I will be entertaining trades for Travis Kelsey. I do understand that he probably will go back towards the median of his, normal numbers. Maybe the play style in KC is going to flip to more Kelsey focused soon here. So I don't think that his stock is so low that you should lowball me. Let's just put it that way. I will not be giving him away for peanuts, but I am entertaining trades for him just because I'm willing to gamble on somebody else now.
Live trade? Kelsey for Deontay Johnson.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You're going to have to pick him up off the waivers anyway.
No, I have him already.
You took him again?
I already grabbed him.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, he's going to be back on the waivers in 2 weeks, mark my words. Or maybe even next week. All right, let's move on to, I'm going to give out the awards for the week. I am transitioning out the Biggest Nuts Award. Just the name. Just because it just seems like, I don't know, it's not funny anymore. So we're gonna start calling that the Gritty Award, just for the guy who just flexed on everybody else. So, the Gritty Award this week is going to.
Did you have a transition for this, or
I don't have anything ready for this.
Okay.
I will have a little thing that'll go on the screen for this next week. But the Gritty Award is going to be going to Ross this week. He absolutely is showing some dominance. Is that 2 weeks in a row for him, or did you have last week?
Oh no, it's Ross.
It's Ross 2 weeks in a row. I've got to keep track of that because I'm gonna have to tally that up at the end. So Ross, you've got 2 Gritty Awards right away to start it. Now, I was looking through our team history just because I was like, I wonder what some of our top scores are because I kind of forgot. And I have 8 scores across our teams or across our league's entire history that have been above 180. So that's where I kind of started my count. The top scores, starting from number 8 all the way on up, I just want to run through them real quick. Benton in 2021 had 184.4. That was in like week 4. It was Benton showed strength and then waned way off.
Okay.
Boompa in 2022 had a score of 186.08. Jacob had a score of 188.84 in 2022. Then there's Boompa again, 189.46. That was in 2023. Sam had a score of 190.02 in 2022. In third place, third highest score, Boompa, 2021. He dropped 191.7. That was the first year of our league, and everybody was going, holy cow, this is not good. Boompa, if you've noticed, has 3 of those top 8. David dropped 195.18 in 2021. Lots of high scores in 21. And then Sam takes the top spot. The guy who scored the least points, just absolutely anemic this week, 64 points. In 2023, just last year, he scored 202.92. That is going to be a tall order for anybody to ever beat, I think.
Sam, you can hold on to those glory days of 200 points.
What's funny is that Etienne was part of that lineup too.
Oh.
And,
yeah.
So very different.
The one holdover.
Very different.
I guess
team.
Tyreek was too. But
Tyreek was too. Yeah. So crazy scores there. Ross is strong, but he's not top 8 strong.
Right. I mean, there's still time. We'll see.
Absolutely, there's still time.
I think his team is capable of it.
All right. Best bench. You want to give this one out?
Back-to-back weeks. Mark Miltimore, way to go. Best bench award winner.
Just absolute mismanagement.
We got to give Sam his honorable mention here for his bench almost outscoring his starters.
It's so true. I mean, you could give him best bench just for that alone. But, I mean, if he swapped out he didn't have many to swap out. I noticed Sam is really low on running backs. He does not have good running backs.
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
So, Sam gets the honorable mention, as well as DK Metcalf has arrived.
How many points did he score?
29.8, and I sat him.
Okay. He's up there with Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, I thought of starting him, but then I just didn't. And, of course, Sexy Mike Evans didn't produce. Trusty Mike, not sexy. I don't know why I went with sexy there.
Strange adjective, Luke. Okay.
Yeah, this Freudian slip there, perhaps. Waiver winner.
How do we let Ross win the waivers? J.K. Dobbins.
Waiver winner goes to Ross Miltimore. I think Gus Edwards scared everybody away from Dobbins.
Yeah, but no one even picked up Gus Edwards.
I just think, I don't know. Gus is getting the majority of the carries, actually. He got more carries than Dobbins.
Well, the game was out of hand. It was 26-3.
I guess that's true.
We'll see. I mean, Dobbins goes and scores 20 points, and we let Ross, who only had Saquon at running back and Aaron Jones, essentially, and Devin Singletary. Those were his running backs, and we let him pick up J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
That was his one weakness, and now here we are.
I think that you're a little too scared of Ross. I know I said this, but I think Ross is going to – he can't keep getting lucky. He can't keep getting all boom, no bust. It's going to happen. And then finally, we have our new award of the year, which I love giving out every week, the Russell Wilson Award for the guy who thinks he's all that. Remember, the guy who thinks he's all that, but really, he's not all that. And that one is going to Sam Ambrose this week.
Sam, you did it to yourself, man.
He calls in during the live stream last week, and he says, look at my waivers. I really think I'm going to be a waiver wire or waiver winner contender next week. I got Likely. I got Worthy. I got, who was it? Rashid Shaheed was also his other one.
Yeah.
I got Likely. I got Worthy. I got Rashid Shaheed.
To be fair, he started none of them.
No, he did.
He started
Likely
Worthy.
and Worthy.
Yes, and both of them did poor.
And Rashid
Did well.
I think he had 20 points, right?
He had 20 points, and the two people he benched also had like 20-plus points.
Yeah. So, Sam, congratulations.
Congratulations, Sam.
Who won it last week? Was it David?
I
think it was David.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking maybe Sam won it twice in a row, but I think it was David. So, very, very, very inflated view of yourself there, Sam, on the waivers.
All right. Should we jump to waivers this week?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. Not a ton of movement this week. I think just, again, this season's been a little weird. A lot of, people subbing out the defenses. The transactions that I think are worth noting. Sam's being active again. Picking up JSN, dropping Christian Kirk.
And now, didn't Sam have JSN?
I believe so.
Okay, so we're doing a little shuffle.
Yeah.
Going back to the X,
Rebrand, dropping Lad McConkey. Do you know who he plays for?
He's a tight end.
No. He's a wide receiver. He's a rookie, to be fair.
He's a wide receiver in LA.
Yeah, good job.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Nice.
They dropped the Charger receiver for a Ram receiver, Demarcus Robinson, with those injuries there. Could be a waiver wire winner right there.
Okay.
Phoenix.
Yes, sir.
You dropped Zach Charbonnet for Derek Carr.
Mm-hmm. I'm starting him too.
Interesting. We'll see. Maybe he could be a waiver wire winner.
I'm thinking Charbonnet isn't gonna. I'm hoping Kenneth Walker is healthy, and so I don't look like a fool.
And then I dropped Jaden Daniels, the quarterback for Washington, picked up Deontay Johnson. I might start him this week. Andy Dalton's starting in Carolina. I think we're going to rally around him. Deontay Johnson's going to probably get 10 catches for about 30 yards.
So you're looking at about 13 points.
I'll take it.
Yeah, maybe a touchdown in there.
And then we, again, going back to this kicker topic, rebrand. Switching out the kickers. Dropping Justin Tucker, which is a wild statement to say.
Totally.
But he's not been Justin Tucker, and
he hasn't.
The Ravens' offense hasn't been great either.
So true.
And so he's hopping onto the New Orleans fantasy football bandwagon.
Yeah, they're producing.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going crazy every week. Just blowout games.
Yeah.
It's like, it gives me the same feel as Miami early season last year. So we'll see by the end of the year.
Everyone wanted to hop on that fantasy bandwagon,
and
too.
It worked. It worked for the first few weeks. People got burned when they kept trying to hold on to that. So
yeah,
I'm just riding this until.
What? Oh, you're Derek Carr.
Yeah, Derek Carr. We'll see if he's had over 20 points both weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Can't wait for him to throw 3 interceptions this week and absolutely burn you.
You know what? It's still better than Joe Burrow. I was justified when Joe Burrow only scored 17. He was back a little bit, but Baker scored 18, so I'm feeling good about that decision.
Okay.
Still.
All right. I got a special topic request. I'm talking about positional importance. Essentially, thinking about running backs versus wide receivers. Would you rather have a top 3 running back on your team or a top 3 wide receiver?
I think you know where I stand on this. I think I'd probably rather take a running back. Yes. And I think they're just easier to count on.
The running back?
The running backs are.
You think that there's less variability with running backs? Is that what you're saying?
I think so. That's just the way I feel about it. I'm not actually sure if the data backs that up.
Okay.
Which I know in PPR, the wide receiver is typically more desirable. But, you look at somebody like Breece Hall. He's getting a couple of receptions per game. a few receptions per game.
Mm-hmm.
It's giving him just that extra padding on maybe on the ground yards and points that he would get from that. So with that kind of play style that a lot of teams have, I don't feel like running backs are missing out on a whole lot. I think that the ceiling is lower on a running back than, but then you have Kamara, who goes and gets 44 points. If he gets the touchdowns, he gets the touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, all positions are touchdown dependent, right?
It's so, yeah. I mean,
touchdowns are going to inflate your score no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you look at James Cook this week.
Poor Benton.
I know, poor Benton.
Always got to bring that up.
James Cook did amazing and Benton still lost. But James Cook, as an example, like the game can change every single week because then if you have a really productive guy on the ground, your wide receivers aren't as productive, and neither is your quarterback.
I think it's, in general, I think it's easier to find, like, say your wide receiver goes down. I think it's easier for you to find a wide receiver either on waivers or to have on your bench
True.
that you can replace versus, like, if Brees goes down, like, that's harder for you to replace.
Absolutely.
So, I think when you're talking about a number one running back versus a number one wide receiver, most times you would take the running back, even though they may not score as many points as the wide receiver. But the drop off from like a top tier running back to what your average is greater on the running back side than top tier wide receiver to the average.
Yeah, and
again, I think this actually goes to my point of possibly expanding the roster next season.
Yeah, I mean, keep preaching it, sure.
To make the positions more equal. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Whether it's a flex or a second flex or a third wide receiver. Any final sayings there? Any final opinions?
No, I mean, I agree with you. You can pick up a guy off the waivers who's a wide receiver, and he can get you 13 points. And even your top guys, like my Mike Evans, he can get me 7 on a given week. So I agree with you. I think the wide receiver is easier to replace, a little bit more expendable.
Yeah.
When you get a guy who's really vibing with his quarterback and he gets all the targets, it's really hard to beat that.
Yep.
But
yeah. Just I'll touch on my couple of analytics
your little
sides.
stats stuff.
Yeah. So just an update in case we weren't aware. Benton is by far the most unlucky player in this league.
Hey, let me see if I can get your luck up there.
You don't need to put it up there. It's okay.
I'll show you. No, I've got it up.
Okay. Well, so essentially looking at who's scoring in the top 4, who has the top 4 scores each week, I'm considering should be the winners each week.
Yeah.
And comparing that to actual wins. So Benton has scored in the top 4 both weeks. I believe he's either been the second or third, like both times. Like it's not like he's just like number 4. He's scoring, and yet he's just gone up against a machine both times. And so he is by far the most unlucky player or unlucky team here.
Yeah, I see he's unlucky -2.
Yeah, as in he has 2 less wins than he should.
Oh, he's gonna feel so good. Yeah, I can see Benton go. Yeah.
Analytics, yes. Doesn't help with my playoff percentage, but yeah. David and I both have been the beneficiary of Benton's bad luck by going up against a bad team and while maybe not scoring as high as we should ourselves for a win. So everyone else is still neutral. I think this is a fun thing that we can kind of look at and we can complain about, or people can fall back on when they get the bad luck like Benton, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the only thing it doesn't take into account, well,
by no means does this look at the luck of your players.
Yes.
This is
luck
just look
of matchup luck.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. That's good. I think it's a good metric. I think it's a good thing.
Yep.
I want to keep that. You want to move on to your power rankings?
Yeah, we'll do power rankings. Again, this is just looking at your average position rank. Benton just got ravaged by injuries and fell down to 8.
From 6, yeah.
From 6. But we see Ross still number 1. I'm number 2. Boompa, Luke, you guys 3, 4, and then we have David at 5, Sam 6, Mark 7, Benton 8. Just one note. So like week 1, I highlighted the winners in green. Week 1 was, I think the experts are still trying to figure out who's actually good. Week 2, so we had like the 2, 5, 6, 7 ranked teams win. Week 2 was a little more normalized with 1, 2, 3, 7 winning. Whoever's ranked 7 has won both weeks. So Mark, I got high hopes for you, man. But we'll see if that trend continues, if we're going to be closer to the 1, 2, 3, 4 winning, or, I mean, this is, again, just experts. They don't actually know, and fantasy football is fairly random.
Right.
So
right.
Just a fun little thing to look at here as well.
Yeah, I see that you have in your notes also that nobody ranked 4 going into the week has ever won. So
yeah, tough.
That's me.
That's you, Lukey.
That's me this week.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a little preview of week 3. What are we going to expect this week?
You want to switch the? Oh,
yeah, it is.
Okay. All right. So week 3, we'll just go down our list. I have Trust the Process versus Romnus Rebuilt, and is the champ back? That's what my question that I put there. Is my team back after kind of a lucky win that first week and just squeaking by? Feel like Sam is still looking for answers, and we'll see if this week can provide them.
I don't think that Sam will beat you.
We'll see.
I guess. I mean, I've been there, Sam, just to sympathize with you. I've been there. My team has been very low productive. I actually think historically, like, my team is really bad. Like I said, I was looking through, like, the top scores, and, like, I don't think I cracked 170 ever. So I just don't know how to pick them, I guess. But I've been there, Sam. So, and you've been at the top. You've got the top score. Just keep reminding yourself that. Maybe it can happen. Lightning strikes twice, you know. So just keep on keeping on.
All right. Next, I have Cheese Whiz versus Rebrand Revenge. And again, like I said, 7th ranked team, which is Cheese Whiz, has won both weeks. So I'm putting upset alert out there.
The week 1 win from the Wiz really set me up to, like, believe in his team.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, if you're gonna keep making decisions like benching A-Chain, like, you're gonna lose, of course. But this, you look at his team and you're like, there's nothing really impressive, but obviously there's potential there.
Yeah.
That being said, he does have 4 questionables, and I just know that he's going to start somebody who is not playing.
He's only got 1 questionable now.
Oh, they've been resolved, or
either he's
swapped him out.
He's swapped him out, or they've been resolved. It looks like he swapped him out.
Still, that, like, he might bench somebody who's going to be productive because they're questionable. And he always comes to me on Monday or Tuesday, when we're doing our recap, and he's like, I didn't start because I didn't know they were playing, or whatever, or like, I started him. They didn't, he was going to play. They said he was active. To be fair, like, he's always preaching on Sunday when the noon games kick off.
Right.
So he's in the middle of that, and he can't get those last minute updates. So, it's kind of the curse of the pastor there.
Pastor's curse. Yep. Yeah. Again, I'm putting Cheese Whiz on as a possible underdog win. Putting the rebrand on.
He is going. Yeah, he is going. He is going against David, who has. I think David has a very low floor too. Like
floor or ceiling, like
he has. Like, he can go really low. I feel like. I feel like David's team can go really low.
Okay. Next game I have on here is Phoenix versus the Frayne Train, and you have to imagine Benton's bad luck is going to end eventually, right?
Or get this, Benton will go to 0-3 while I go to 1-2.
Yeah, I guess.
I really want to win.
I guess that could happen.
It could.
I mean, again, his bad luck not only is in his fantasy results, but all his players are getting hurt. Pacheco to IR. Cooper Kupp's
so
probably
true.
not playing. Poor Benton.
Yeah, really. So I hope I beat him, but his team looks really strong.
It's still a very good team.
It is a good team. I'll admit that.
All right, and I think I'm going to call this the matchup of the week. Contendas versus All Boom, No Bust. Boompa is consistently a top dog.
Top dog, and his team has a great potential.
Yeah.
Every week.
Every week. And now he's going up against this season's top dog.
Yeah.
And will the boom continue?
The question is, will Josh Allen get touchdowns in the air?
Who are they? You got to imagine at least one,
yeah,
right?
who are they going up against?
Jacksonville. So absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's going to get he's going to at least rush or pass for one.
Yep.
Probably 4.
Yep.
So we'll see. I like I said, I think this is the matchup of the week. It's going to be the high scoring one, and someone's going to join Benton in the unlucky league. I'm guessing that both teams here will score in the top 4.
Both teams
Will be in the top 4 scoring of this week for our league.
You think so?
I think so. I think we're looking at a couple teams scoring in the 140s.
Who?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's the preview of week 3. So congratulations to our winners. Just once again, the Gritty Award went to Ross this week. Best bench, Mark. Get yourself out of that spot. Start the right people this week. Waiver winner, Ross. J.K. Dobbins, great pickup. Russell Wilson Award, Sam. Don't get it again. Let's just put it that way. So thanks for listening to week 2 of our Keeper Chronicles, episode 3. I'm just going to call them by weeks because that just makes the most sense. Next week, I'm trying to arrange it, but I think I'm going to have a special guest in person with us.
Ooh.
So
am I still invited back? I'm not a permanent co-host yet.
You're still a feature. I think that we will have you here.
Okay.
I've got to figure out the miking situation, but if we have another person in person, you guys will have to see who it is. It's one of us, so there's not that many options. Think about it. Who's going to be in Mankato? You don't know. So that is all we have for you this week. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week.